Alright, pardon me for the shakiness of the footage in this video and for the change of angle. Today, or this time, I am recording at the desk just adjacent to the piano I normally record at. Alright. Yeah. Because I have to charge my phone, and the nearest outlet is right in front of me. So, without further ado, more Tales from the Summit, The Rocks edition. Or part 3. So, after that, now this video, okay, there's a few stories I can't tell, which kind of sucks, because they're good stories. So, I'll see what I can do. You're not going to hear those stories, but you'll hear a few others. So, it was July. Yes, late July, and Nate Gerber, I mentioned him in the last video. There was a route there. It was a speed route. We had an autoblaze system at the top, and then whoever had the fastest time, staff or scout, would get their name on a piece of duct tape next to the wall. So, anyone under 30 seconds. You can get to the top in under 30 seconds, you're golden. So, it was during the lunch break, and Slow Nate. Name changed halfway through my first week there, so yeah. Slow Nate comes over. Oh, and Fast Nate didn't talk much. That didn't help matters. But anyway, Slow Nate comes over, says, "Hey Brian, you got a stopwatch on your phone, right?" "Yep." "Well, not even on your watch." "Yeah. You know how to use it?" "Yep." "All right." So we go over, and I time him going up. He gets under 30 seconds a few times, and then he gets 15 seconds. And then his time keeps dropping. I think he got to like 9 seconds? Might have gone all the way down to 5. Nate, if you're watching this, let me know in the comments. Please, I want to know your final time. I don't care if you're bragging. I want to know what you want to know, or what you want people to know the final time was. I'm thinking it's 8.6. That's, if memory serves, that was the number. So, and that was with scouts there. It was the end of the day. The tower was closed. And he shot up it in less than 10 seconds. It was pretty interesting. And the rule I had, and the rule that I figured out, was if the True Blue was tight, if there wasn't any slack in it, you weren't making it up in time. You just weren't. You had to keep some slack on it. Now, I'm not a good enough climber to climb that fast, so I never attempted that route. It was a speed route. It was a 5.5, maybe a 5.4. So yeah, there's that. Oh, man. Oh, okay. So, we had... Now, I'm going to say stuff that staff did that scouts weren't allowed to do. Staff knows what they're doing. They had been doing it since the beginning of the summer. Some of them had been rock climbing their entire lives. So they knew what they were doing. And it wasn't part of the program anyway, so yeah. And some of the things we did were for the sake of time and not for the sake of fun. There were a few things we did for the sake of fun. So, one of the things we did for the sake of fun is, and the Boy Scouts aren't allowed to do this. I don't know why, because it defeats the entire purpose of the activity we were doing. What we did was we topped out on boulders. They were 6, maybe 7 feet off the ground, so our feet were 7 feet up. Nothing to be scared about, really. And that was at the highest point, without a harness or anything. We had helmets on, but really that was just because we had to. It was in the early part of the summer, and my boss, my manager, this might be a longer set of stories. My manager, he wanted to teach me how to climb. Well, he needed to teach me how to climb because you can't have a climbing instructor that doesn't know how to climb. So, when he was teaching me how to boulder, he says, all right, now keep going. Because I had technically finished the route at that point. I said, keep going. Okay. So I kept going, and I topped out. I got on top of the rock. And part of what he was trying to do is he was trying to get me to trust my equipment, which I have told you I have a hard time doing anyway. So, well, I had a hard time doing. So, I topped out. I got on the top. I can't remember if I was in climbing shoes. And Jason says, all right, now, let's go over here. And there was a slope. It was probably about like that. All right. Probably at that sort of angle, right? I want you to stand on that without holding on. What? No, trust me, stand on it. Okay, so I stood there. I felt my toes go to the front of my shoes. But other than that, I didn't move. So the moral, there's a moral to that story. When you're climbing, trust your shoes. He was standing there with his regular shoes, and they were just starting to slip at that angle. Mine were holding firm. So, trust your shoes, really. You can. There's techniques, and sometime I'm going to go to a climbing gym and I'm going to make a video about this. Crap, I forget what the technique's called. Hell, when I remember it, I'll know it. But I'll talk about it in another video. But what it is you're putting your foot against the wall and you're pressing into the wall. Excuse me. Um, and I've actually done that. It's it's a little, it's not scary really. I thought it would be, but then I did it and it wasn't scary in the least bit. I was amazed. So, okay. All right. So, I mentioned in the first video, I think it was, that I was scared of heights. I was the kind of guy, you would get me on the Roebling suspension bridge in Cincinnati, and I would have a hard time walking across it mentally. No, I haven't tried it since I've come back, but I couldn't. It was I was just booking it across because my family was going to the other end, and I'm like, screw this, I'm not staying with you, bye, because I was frightened, quite frankly. So, so every day for a few weeks, every time I was there, I would go up to the top of the tower. And it was a 40-foot tower. I mean, this was no, it was not a tower by only technical standards. No, this was a proper tower. 40 feet in the air. If you ever come to the summit and you're at the rocks, you'll see it. It's the Leap of Faith Tower. So I stand there and I look down. Then I look back up. Now, mind you, I'm standing on the edge. My manager's doing this with me. Look down, look back up. Back up if I have to. And then get down, look back up. Eventually, he says, all right, clip into the True Blue. What? Clip into the True Blue. It was the end of the day. I clip into the True Blue. And I'm standing there, or I'm sitting there on the edge of the tower. Now, he tells me, all right, now sit on the edge. What? Sit on the edge. Okay. So I sat there, and we talked about the day. What'd you learn today? This, that, the other. And it had been a good day. I quite frankly don't remember many bad days. I do remember one bad day, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So there's that. It was a medical emergency. That's all I'm gonna say. But I really didn't have any bad days at camp. Anywho, I sat down, I'm talking with him. And he's like, all right, jump. I'm clipped into a True Blue. Now, a True Blue is an auto belay device. You clip into it, it'll lower you down slowly. It won't, like, 6 feet per second, I think, is the maximum it'll go. So it's not exactly slow, but it's not fast either. So he says, all right, jump. Okay. So I jump. I've learned to trust the True Blues at this point. I get off, and I rappel down the wall. I forget what the British call it, but yeah. And I rappel down the wall. And he's like, how was that? I'm like, not bad once you get over going over. The anticipation really is worse than actually doing it. At the action point, I know I'm not talking about the rocks at this point, but whatever. I remember at Action Point Challenge course, there was a True Blue at the end. Best way to get off the course, and I mean the best way, the least physically challenging way, is to clip into a True Blue and jump. You had a platform and a True Blue and nothing but ground between the True Blue, and nothing between the True Blue and the ground. So you clipped into the True Blue. The facilitator would check you. AA 4HGT. Helmet, harness, hardware, and then gloves, which we weren't using. And then, what was the T? 4HGT. Whatever T was. But, anyway, I'm sure some of my coworkers are going to be screaming at me in the comments saying, T is for... I can't remember. So, then you jump. And you go down at 6 feet per second, and you're fine. It's sure as heck beats 9.8 meters per second the whole way down when you're 30 feet in the air. But yeah. I had a good time at the Rocks. I'm sure I'll come up with other stories, but yeah. I will see you next time because this video is approaching 20 minutes. So, yeah. Until then, keep your chalk dry and your eye on the top, and have a nice day.